when I first heard about Reiki, I thought, yeah, right. It's one of them weird, woo-woo, cookie kind of thing. I just wasn't paying it no mind. I even went for a session, and I didn't believe anything was going to happen. I was just like, just because you're my friend and you're doing it, and I'm just going to check it out, support your business. I didn't think anything was going to happen. I actually fell asleep. And I don't fall asleep anywhere. It's hard for me to fall asleep in strange places, on buses, it's just, even when I go to a different place, it's hard for me to fall asleep. But I fell asleep on her table. So, that was interesting. But I didn't feel any particular energy in terms of vibration or anything. So, to me it was a nice little nap. Didn't really think too much about it. I think it was maybe a year later. I mean, before the year was up, I was being spoken to about it from my husband, who wasn't my husband at the time. But he was talking about it from time to time. And, sometimes you humor people and you just nod and you just nod. But after we kind of got more involved and we started talking more about different energies, and he started to talk about actually taking a course. I still wasn't really all that sure about it. For me, I have to experience something, or I have to feel something, experience it, and, have a way to talk about it and relate to it before I can be out there and talking about it. So while he was away taking his course, I ended up in the library and I came across this book about Reiki. I wasn't even looking for it. I was looking for something else. And I thought, oh, this is kind of cool. So I, took it out of the library, signed it out of the library, and I started reading it. And I was like, wow, this is a really good book. And then through some of the exercises that the book was talking about, I was actually able to feel my own energy. Isn't that strange? You are energy, but you don't really necessarily feel your own energy. And I'll give you an example. Sometimes when you're walking with your socks, right? And it's winter and you're scraping your feet on the carpet, and then you touch the doorknob, and you go to touch the doorknob, you can feel the electricity jump from your finger to the doorknob and you get a shock. That's energy. But can you imagine feeling that when you put your hands together and you can actually feel your own energy? It's really amazing. To me, it was amazing. It's just great. So that was my really first experience. And then when my husband did his class and he got his attunement and he started talking about the wonderful experience that he had, I thought, well, I'd like to have that too. So I did a course for myself. I went to another Reiki teacher and I did the course. I did level 1 and 2, and I honestly didn't feel anything. And I was a little bit disappointed because, when I heard the experience my husband had and how great it was and, how powerful it was for him, I wanted the same for myself, but I wanted to experience it for myself. And I thought, if I went to a Reiki master and I did the course, I would feel that. But I didn't feel that. And so I put it aside for a little bit until much later on I decided, okay, I was going to do the course, but this time I was actually going to travel to New York and actually take the course with the same teacher that my husband did his course with. Just because, they seem to have a lot more experience. They seem to know what they're doing. And so It's not to say that Reiki, whoever's teaching Reiki is not gonna know what they're doing or they don't have the experience. It's not like that for all the different teachers. It's just that I think you have to go with your intuition. If you feel connected or if you feel some kind of connection, then you should follow that. But if you're not feeling anything, but you're just curious, you can go with that too. I mean, it just depends. So this time around, I decided to go, but I wasn't going with any expectations because his experience sounded so fantastical that I was just like, I don't think that's going to be my experience. And I don't want to set myself up for disappointment. So I just went with the intention to be open to whatever my experience is going to be. And I have to tell you, it was amazing. I actually cried, and I don't cry in public. I don't cry in public. But it was that amazing, and I felt this feeling of like a baptism. Like, that's the only thing I can really compare it to, because it felt like I was being baptized. I felt that energy kind of wash over me. Felt like my head, like my skull was open, and the energy just poured down into me. And I felt so loved and so accepted that I started to cry. So that was one of the most powerful experiences for me. And I remember that. And I will always have that feeling. And each time that I practice, and each time that I, do my Reiki baths, and, anytime I do a session with a client, I just have that feeling again. And so when I eventually have my students, I hope that their experience is going to be just as powerful for them, whatever that might be.